Check, 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 check. Check, check, check. Thank you guys for coming. Welcome to Consultis' 30-year open house. Lisa's coming. She's on her way. All right. Thank you again. Thank you all for coming. Today we have a panel of digital marketing experts, and I wanted to introduce each one of them individually. Ask any questions you want. We're live on Google Hangouts, so obviously we can't aim the cameras at you guys, but they'll be at them. So if you do have a question, you have a choice to scream it out loud, or come on up and grab a mic and answer and ask the question, or one of these gals can repeat the question if we don't hear it, if we can't hear it. Okay, so I'm going to start on my far right with Diane Geller. Diane Geller is a partner in the national law firm Fox Rothschild and focuses her law practice on the representation of small to mid-sized clients. Diane is a seasoned practitioner and strategic counselor who helps her clients stay compliant with the ever-changing federal and state regulations governing the workplace, and her clients' business niches including review and preparation of agreements and policies, including those related to use and ownership of social media and electronic data. We've been using Diane for, I think, those 30 years. 15? Long time. She writes great staff agreements and knows her stuff. All right, then we have to my right here, we have Debbie Weems, founder of DW Consulting Solutions, an independent LinkedIn specialist. Debbie has coached hundreds of professionals in 7 countries to use LinkedIn effectively as a marketing tool. Having a profile on the world's largest professional networking site isn't enough. You need to be found on LinkedIn and develop relationships that will either lead you to business or become your business. With LinkedIn, you will build relationships, find customers, promote, hire, research, and your competition, post jobs, find jobs, and more. Time is money. She'll save you both. Then we have Jessica Elliott. Jessica, ClearEdge Marketing is probably best described as an outsourced marketing department. ClearEdge provides integrated marketing programs, so companies look to ClearEdge for everything from branding and messaging to sales support, digital marketing, social media, PR, and more. As SVP of Account Management, Jessica works closely with ClearEdge clients to coach and guide them in implementing marketing programs that will lead to their desired results, such as gaining new leads, further embedding into existing accounts, or increasing brand awareness. ClearEdge did our Facebook, they did our website, they've done a lot of our promotional programs, campaigns. They do a great job. Last but not least, make sure I don't miss anything over here. Yes, Sarah Newton. Sarah Newton is the social marketing manager at Zimmerman Advertising. When she's not assisting clients like Party City, Dunkin' Donuts, and Lucky Brand, this fearless millennial is working with her freelance clients. She believes in relentlessly pursuing clients' social goals, developing strategy, executing activation, big one, capitalizing on real-time social events, paid social media, and social reporting. Her favorite professional and personally social platforms are Twitter and Pinterest. And she's very good at Facebook too. Okay, so we're going to kind of start off with, obviously we've got an expert in the law field, we have an expert in LinkedIn, we have an expert in digital marketing. These kind of, she's got a specialty more so, and Jessica's more broad range. So I want them to each kind of like start off by getting some sort of a question going or a conversation going, and then any questions you have, feel free, because I know you're going to have questions, because social marketing and social media is the way to go in the future. It's free. All right, so let's start. Jessica, you're starting. Let's start with defining digital marketing. What's your definition of digital marketing?
So my definition of digital marketing is basically anything electronic communications, if you will. And so at ClearEdge anyways, much of the digital marketing that we're doing today is really websites, SEO, blogging. We're helping now more and more with marketing automation. We'll do email marketing, email campaigns, and so forth. So a lot of it is really around the electronic communication and using those tools to get out to your target audience.
I guess to piggyback off that, my focus is on social media, so I would add that. I would just add on to that. So like Jamie said, oftentimes social media is great. Sometimes you want to take it up a notch. Some of the platforms are capitalizing on their marketing dollars and seeing that people are transitioning into digital media. So I think social, to add to everything Jessica was saying, is definitely a huge part in a very good content mix, a very good advertising mix that I'm seeing. Yeah.
Okay, to add to those comments, it's pleased to be here. Thank you. I think that digital marketing as a whole means that you're embracing social selling. The advent of social media has completely flipped the typical sales cycle and the way that we used to do traditional sales. And if you can understand that your prospects, your current clients, your prospective clients, they're up there searching for you on all those different social media channels. They're learning about you before you even pick up the phone or send them an email or a tweet. And to embrace that instead of be fearful of it, because I run into the fear all the time, means that you are coming up to speed with digital marketing, which is already the way that business is done. And anyone that's not embracing that in the very near future is going to be left behind. That's pretty much the way it is.
Well, my input in this is, of course, as a lawyer, I'm going to go from the whole other side of this. I actually think social media is a fabulous tool that companies really embrace, but it also presents a number of challenges from a legal perspective in terms of protecting that social media, protecting the company from the various aspects of the social media, in terms of what's being leaked, sent out on LinkedIn, sent on Facebook, tweeted. So my perspective is a little different because I'm going to come from a completely different perspective.
Great, thanks. All right, let's start. I'm going to ask another question. What are the best platforms? What are the best applications to use for what purposes? I mean, most everybody here is IT, healthcare, energizing money. She already knows everything. So give me some feedback from you guys about what you feel is best for what application somebody may need here.
I'm going to say that. Facebook is where you're going to get the most reach. They definitely have a lot of precise targeting of brands and any professional can take advantage of. Age, gender, economic status, education, interest. So if you are liking Consultis, their Facebook page, you can target that. If I'm telling my mom on her own Facebook page that I'm going to Consultis, you can target her that way. So Facebook's where you're going to get the most reach.
I guess I would say probably for this audience it would be LinkedIn. I think that, and really I would actually take a step back and say it really depends on where your audience is. So a lot of times we get, I want to be on Facebook, or I want to be on LinkedIn, or I want to be on Twitter, and really you want to think about your audience and where they're at. So as a job seeker, if you are looking to find your next gig, a lot of companies are looking for you, and so LinkedIn would be a platform that you really want to focus on. On the flip side, if you are a company looking to grow sales and you're looking for prospects and leads, there again is a way to leverage LinkedIn to find those prospects. So in my view, probably for this audience, I think LinkedIn is maybe where they want to spend their time.
One of the things that I tell all of my clients is that if you're a business owner, you must have a presence on a business Facebook page. Hands down, that is where the reach is. but you also need to have a presence just as a professional on LinkedIn. The first reason that anyone gets onto LinkedIn is to have the most professional presence on the largest professional networking site on the internet. There's over 300 million members on LinkedIn right now. They're growing at 2 new users per second. And right now in the United States, there's over 100 million users. All the Fortune 500 companies are on there. It is a place to have a presence first and then be found and to build business relationships. It's friends on Facebook and it's connections on LinkedIn. Your connections on LinkedIn, the bigger you build up your network, the more people can find you with keyword search. And those connections are either going to lead you to business or they're going to become your business. Our attorney has no opinion.
No, let's see. Okay, so let's evolve this into content. So if someone is, let's talk about sharing content. The hashtag, yeah. Who owns a hashtag?
Well, that's a really good question, and some of this is unsettled law, and we see a lot of unsettled law. So companies oftentimes want to make sure that they own the hashtag, they own the posting, but sometimes you don't want to own the posting if it's a bad posting or it's putting out something that you really don't want to be representative of your company. So there's all sorts of challenges. In addition, you have to be careful about trademark and copyright infringement. So when you're having your employees post, for instance, you've got to put some rules on it, and you need to make sure that when they're using your LinkedIn, well, we can't use LinkedIn is owned by the employee or the individual. And that becomes a whole other issue as to who owns the context and goodwill related to the content, the contacts that are in LinkedIn. So that's an important issue that can be dealt with in a separate contract, not using the LinkedIn requirement. In addition, when you're dealing with hashtags, when you're dealing with content, when you're dealing with followers, there's been some recent litigation, although most of it seems to get settled out before it gets through the courts. But all of that needs to be dealt with, usually through a contractual arrangement with the employee, as opposed to leaving it to just, let's see what happens when that person leaves. It also includes dealing with who's going to be the administrator of, for instance, your Facebook account and controlling the passwords related, so that you don't have an employee leaving and then taking the only password to your Facebook account so that you can't go back in and make changes. Especially Twitter. Twitter's been a big issue in terms of followers. Many of you may have heard of the phone bill case where an individual has developed probably thousands of followers, and when he left the company, he wanted to take the followers with him, and it ended up in litigation, which ultimately stopped. But all of that becomes important, and the best way to deal with it is to deal with it through a contractual arrangement up front. Make sure it's clear who owns it.
All right, I have a couple other questions. So let's talk a little bit, since Facebook is probably the best for outreach, let's talk about, and I know this is one of your fortes, about promoting it, and not only from a free standpoint, but from a standpoint where you might pay something to kind of help boost, help you get the best ROI.
So from a free standpoint, every business page has insights, which comes free with your business page. So you can take a look at that, see who your audience is, down to age, gender. So for example, take my client Party City. Women like us more than the men like to party. Sorry guys. But so I know, at least from a free standpoint, I should be creating pinks and purples, candy buffets, as opposed to outrageous college game day here. That's a free way to approach that with your content. If you do have a media budget, I definitely recommend you have it. But if you don't, you can target those people. So although Party City's audience isn't male focused, I can get them through dollars. I can put something up in time for, the Super Bowl and target it to men of the age range that align with the Super Bowl. TV shows they like, interests they have, interests.
So for many of our clients, when they're thinking about Facebook, a lot of the reason that they use it is to drive traffic actually back to their website. So a lot of it is creating content that they can then leverage and post onto Facebook, and then again drive back to their website. Like Sarah said, a lot of it is looking at, again, who is your audience. In the case of the clients that we serve, with, again, primarily IT staffing companies, and so their audience is really oftentimes the candidate. And so we'll do things like campaigns. We had a client that they had done a campaign several years ago where they were basically asking, candidates to send in their most embarrassing stories, and the winners were able to get a prize and so forth. The funniest story, though, I still remember this, was the candidate was at an interview for a job at Yahoo, and so they had asked him a question like, what would you do in this situation if you didn't know the answer? And he responded, well, I'd Google it. And so that obviously wasn't doing that contest. But in any case, so to your original question, Jamie, I think it is, again, back to always just looking at your audience and really looking to leverage Facebook for driving traffic back to websites.
Okay. When you're using LinkedIn, once you do determine who your target is, there's unlimited ways to target market on LinkedIn. Your summary and your headline can be composed to drive the viewer either to your website or to yourself. Probably 90% of the people I work with, they want to drive the traffic from their profile right to their website, and that's a pretty easy way. It's an easy way to do that. You can link up to 3 different websites to your LinkedIn profile. You can insert your website at the bottom of your profile under advice for contacting you. And in your content, you always give a call to action. Most often, people use that call to action to drive to the website. So again, it depends on what your goal is. I work with a lot of salespeople, global salespeople, that they want the person right in front of them. So they're driving the traffic right to their office. Just a little bit of additional advice.
Diane, let me ask you about, you said recently, we've talked a little bit recently about mobile device policies, and I think so the CRMs and ATSs are all very downloadable from a mobile standpoint. And what are some of the things that you're running into that you're seeing of, how to manage that from either perspective, employee or employer?
Just before we get to that, I'd like to comment that I have to say that the hair on the back of my neck stood up when you told me about the Facebook contest that they ran. Because obviously you can't predict what somebody's going to post, so I think you go back to monitoring what people are posting on your Facebook page, and not necessarily taking down immediately. Because one issue that I see with Facebook, and I've seen with other social media, is the negative content. When somebody posts negative content, what do you do with it? You have it on YouTube. You've had issues with Domino's Pizza. You had issues with United Airlines. And you've got to be able to address negative content and address it quickly, and then use folks like the three ladies here as to how to deal with that negative content. Because, for instance, the YouTube views on the Domino Pizza disgusting YouTube that was posted were just millions, and the president of Domino's went on to YouTube and posted a YouTube response to it. And of course, the number of people that watched his YouTube response was minimal compared to the number of people that watched the really negative posting that was done. So having good media consultants and knowing how to address negative content quickly is really important. And sometimes taking it down is important if you have the ability on your Facebook page, and sometimes just addressing it and clearing the air is an important way to do it. So that's my comment. Even though that's not what you asked me for.
Yeah, that's a good question. When you see something as an employer, I see something that an employee that left my organization wrote something, very negative about the company. Maybe they had a bad experience. Maybe they were terminated and they had a vendetta. what is the best way for me to respond out on that social network? I hope not to do nothing, right?
Well, it's definitely not to do nothing. And from a legal perspective, the biggest caution I want to give you is that don't start having all of your employees go on and pretend that they're not your employees and post positive comments about your company. That's one of the worst things you can do. You could potentially end up with a Federal Trade Commission issue relative to that. So that's not the answer. It's not to tell your employees, go in and say something good, but don't tell them you work for Consultis or whatever company. In terms of other ways to deal with it,
I'm just going to add to the issue that we're speaking of. It's important. I run across a lot of CEOs, frankly, that want social media, they want it now, they want their company represented on all the channels, and I can't caution you enough. If you don't have the resources to assign somebody to watch the engagement that unfolds, and it's continuous if you're posting effectively, you need to have somebody ready to monitor the engagement. Timing is everything. And if you let something go even for a few hours and it's not addressed and it's negative, you know, you're going to have a tough time recouping from that kind of backlash. Okay, timing is really important.
Yes, those are absolutely great points. I hear clients come in for tours and they want to be on every social platform. They want to be the most social brand ever, and it's just like, hold on, strategy is what you're doing there. So I agree. But to add, I think that from a social perspective, you definitely want to approach the situation, whether it be a positive or a negative comment from a consumer. And you want to immediately take it offline. So when I say that, I kind of mean in a private message or in a direct message if you're on Twitter, to show that consumer, hey, we care, but we're also not interested in you bashing our page. And oftentimes, it turns out to be a great situation. You made a personal connection with that person, and they're now a loyal customer. They're kind of a walking billboard for you.
I would just echo everything that you all said. We just literally had a client with this experience on Monday. It was actually a negative tweet. And so the best advice, and again, it's always important to check with legal counsel, but I would say is to address it head on. You know, if you were in the wrong, apologize, and then, like Sarah said, take it offline, find another avenue in order to talk about it and air it. And really, when you think about it, social media is meant to be engaging. The idea here is that if you're going to put yourself out there, that you're willing to, you're going to take the good with the bad. So you have to be willing to take the bad and learn from it. You're getting constructive feedback. You know, I feel bad for Domino's and United Airlines, but they're learning as much as when they get those negative tweets on how they need to improve their customer service or the pizza or whatever the case may be. So as frustrating as it may be, it's also a good learning lesson for them.
All right, my next question, and if anybody has any great screen jump color, let's talk about content. So we're just talking about content. What's the best and most engaging content? I mean, because you could share or throw anything you want to throw up there, and sometimes you see stuff that's just black and white. And then, like for us, sometimes we feel like if you're throwing your jobs up there, you're exposing the company, you're getting a lot of exposure out there. But I hear it's not necessarily the best thing to be posting job after job after job, because then you just become a recruiter. Not that.
Sure. Content. I'm thinking about pipelines, what are we doing right now? So basically, people are on social to either be educated or entertained, and you kind of have to maintain that balance. Sometimes it's always better to engage more. I've learned that with Zimmerman has a multiple amount of clients, like National Party City, so retail, food, automotive. People are going on Twitter for deals. Twitter is the opportunity for clients to search and respond on a keyword or a hashtag, and without the barrier of being their friend, like on, or connecting with them on LinkedIn, following them on Facebook, being their friend on Facebook, they can get the information they want in under 140 characters. So there, I've learned that deals, coupons, contests, that short blurb of real-time information that you need kind of like an expiration date for LinkedIn Twitter. For Facebook, content versus, still imagery versus videos. So people, I'm a millennial and I'm lazy, so when I'm on social, I kind of want my information now. I don't want to have to scroll beyond my time feed. So I don't particularly enjoy videos, and I do research, acknowledge that my clients, consumers on social do not particularly enjoy videos. It takes them to another page. They just want to see what they want. So I would say imagery that conveys something engaging and entertaining is your best.
My answer is the ice bucket challenge. If you can come up with an ice bucket challenge type thing, then you're in good shape. In all honesty, again, I just kind of come back to your audience and what is most compelling to them. Oftentimes when we are working with clients, the first thing we work with them on is personas. So talking to them about who is it that is really your target. What do they look like? Are they male or are they female? How old are they? Where do they live? What do they like to do? Understanding your audience is super important, and then feeding that information out to them. In terms of content that we post out on Facebook, Jamie, you talked about jobs. Jobs should be one of the things that you would post out on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, as the case may be. But you also want to mix that in with value-add information. So things that you are producing yourself, be it blogs, business articles, perhaps you're doing a survey, things of that nature. And then finally, you would want to intersperse it with other content that is being produced that you're just making available to them. So not necessarily any content that you are personally producing, but something that you have read and seen, maybe as a thought leader, things of that nature. So I think it's a mixed combination. And I was actually talking to a LinkedIn rep the other day, and she was just saying that you should definitely be sharing your jobs on LinkedIn. That is definitely, when you log in to LinkedIn every day, there's two things that you should do. And I don't know if you would agree with this, but you can let me know that. She was saying that, go to your company page and like a post. Whatever has been posted, like that post and share a job. Those should be the first two things you do when you walk in the office.
I agree. I'll add to that. The most important word I'm hearing right now is value. And the most important emphasis that I give to my clients is not to sell themselves all the time. Nobody wants to be pitched continually. You want to offer value to the people that are in your audience with connections. There's a little paperclip icon in the status update field on LinkedIn, which the status update field, if you haven't used it lately, get on there tonight and post something of value. It's at the top of the homepage, and in the right corner of the field, there's a little paperclip icon, and it's there for a reason. You can attach almost any file from your hard drive or flash drive. Images are great. You want to stop, people are browsing, they're scanning their update feed. They're not going to read everything. But if you have a drop-dead image, then you've got a great post, because you want to stop the reader for 2 seconds and get them to look at what you're posting, and then they go on to the other posts.
I have a question. I keep getting into my LinkedIn to upgrade. What is the upgrade? Do you need that? I mean, what's your opinion?
They're pretty relentless, aren't they?
Yeah,
I am upgraded, and they're relentless. Upgrading is determined by your goals and how far of a reach you want on the platform. The free basic profile is, I'm a stat person, this is from their second quarter results of the report. 92% of the 300 million people on LinkedIn are on the basic free profile. 92%. So that kind of says something. But it's dependent upon your goals. With the free profile, a couple of the basics, you get 100 results of any search that you do. With an upgrade, the first upgrade gives you 300 results of any search. On the free profile, you can save up to 3 people searches, where you pick out your criteria, you plug it in and save it. LinkedIn will actually email you every time a new user comes onto the site and matches your criteria. So that's a great lead generation in the background. You get 3 of those on the free profile. You get 5 on the first upgrade. Job seekers can save 10 job searches on the free profile. If they go to the job seeker component, they can save 20. So it depends on what you're on there to do. Good question though. But you can just X that out every time you see a promotion and you get tired of it.
I'm going to just look at this from a slightly different perspective than the lawyers. I'm all for posting and reusing social media the way it's supposed to be used. And part of what you want to do, those of you that are employers, want to make sure that you have a good social media policy. And that it needs to be updated regularly. We've got our friends at the National Labor Relations Board, which everybody's saying, what are they doing in this? Because we're not union, but the National Labor Relations Board has put their nose into non-union issues, including the use of social media and the regulation of social media in terms of how your policy is. So it's just as important to posting as to making sure that you have some room for it at the post.
Any other questions? Grab the mic.
Okay, I have a slightly different twist on the question. So as a professional, I'm concerned about my personal profile and my professional profile. But there's that other side of social media which is kind of personal view. My operating assumption is that I can't have both. I really only can have a professional profile. I don't have a mechanism to separate the two. So my question to you is that true? I guess I'm validating myself. Is it possible? Personal profile or professional? Well, the other question is there a critical mass on the platform and in the context of professional profile? So that's the first question. Can you do both?
So to answer your first question, I think you can, to a point, with making your accounts private. So I know people in my profession that have a company Twitter to support our clients, and then a personal one that's kept private. So it's only they're accepting what someone's follow. It's open to them.
So how does that, so when Facebook automatically makes it private?
So for Facebook, you have a professional page, and you will have your own personal page in which you would accept somebody. So if you do, then they're of course open to everything they're posting. It is a fine line. I do agree with you because it's the internet. I mean, there's stuff out there. So you have to be careful with what you put up, regardless on either page. But primarily for things like Twitter. Yes, Facebook, but Twitter is completely private. You can delete either. That's where I have experience.
Yeah, well, I actually have two separate accounts for Facebook and Twitter. One that I use for my professional work, and then one that is just meant for friends and family and so forth. So I definitely keep them separate. And I think further to your point, it's a question of, for the private account or the personal account, even though it is personal, it's still on the internet. It's still accessible. So, I wouldn't suggest going and doing posting questionable things, because there's always, I think, a way that people can access it. So, but I do mean to maintain two separate accounts, just because I want my work to be separate than a personal. It's just a work-life balance type thing for me, more than anything. But I'm pretty conservative on my personal account too.
So one of the best things I've ever heard about Facebook versus LinkedIn that I can't take credit for. Facebook is a cocktail party. LinkedIn is the business conference. Here's my take on personal versus professional. LinkedIn is a professional site. Everything on your profile should highlight you as the professional. If you're a business owner, you can certainly promote the heck out of your company within your summary, but somewhere in that summary you need to give the viewer a little bit about you, the professional behind the profession. That's also what makes you stand out against the competition on LinkedIn, most of whom, business owners, they turn that summary into a billboard for their company. And it looks like a great profile, but when you get through looking through it, you really don't know much about the person at the helm. Facebook, I have my social Facebook pages. I get asked all the time by my clients, will I be, they want to friend me. And I have a stock answer that I send back. I hope you won't be offended by my answer, but I use my Facebook social pages for my friends, very close friends and family. But I would love it if you would like my Facebook business page, and of course I give them the link, and follow my LinkedIn company page. And that way I'm trying to do a few things at once, of building up a following on both, keeping myself private on Facebook, and then welcoming anybody to connect with me, that I've met or known on LinkedIn. It's important to separate it, I think. And I love the idea of 2 accounts on Twitter. God bless you for having the time.
From my perspective, I really would encourage the employers to suggest strongly as part of their social media policy that employees do not friend your candidates, your customers on their personal Facebook pages. I think the things that get posted on personal Facebook pages really should be personal. There are issues that come up that people talk about health issues, they talk about family issues, they talk about religious issues, they talk about politics, and you really don't want that to become an issue with your customers. So I feel strongly that employees should be prevented from liking and inviting their customers to join them on their personal Facebook.
All right, another question I have that we talked about when we got together is how do I validate the ROI of these social media applications that I'm using for my business?
Good question. So that's a very interesting question. I don't know if the lady who's here has the answer, but it's very hard for me to give one. Something that I use with our clients, we convert links from the website. So Party City, Coastal Party Supplies, every product has its own URL. We convert those into a system called Bitly, which is a free, it's a website converter. You can convert it into something personalized, but the main point of it is to track it. So we take something off the website, we convert it, and then from there we convert it again into something, a tool we use called Armature that tracks ROIs. So from there, after converting it 3 times over, then posting it, and then let's say, Jamie, you click on it, when I do my monthly reporting, I can see, did you put it in your shopping cart? Did you pay for it? Did it earn $30? Did it earn $100? So that's the way that we do it. It's not a very black and white answer for that. Exactly, and people are, our clients are like, if you're asking for $100,000, what am I getting in return? So it's a lot like TV. Some of the older conservative clients understand in the form of impressions. They're not really convinced, although I often make the argument when you have a commercial on TV, someone could be cooking, someone could be on their iPad, on their phone, and someone's on social, their intent is to be there. So the impression is almost richer. So it's just educating people on things like that, but I think there are loopholes, if you will, around answering that question, but
it's a great question. It's not an easy answer. I know that when we work with clients, typically on their social media projects and helping them maintain and engage with their audience that they're trying to reach on Facebook or Twitter or the like, we work with them to establish what is success at the beginning. And oftentimes it's things like, oh, I want to increase my number of followers by X, or I want to increase the number of people that are commenting on things, more hard numbers, things of that nature. I would say that it's less about quantity and more about quality. So in terms of measuring success, who is following you? That's something that you really want to look at. Are they actually engaging with you? Social media is meant to be engaging. So are they commenting? Are they liking? Are they taking action on it? Those are the things that you kind of want to be looking at and measuring. So that's the next thing.
Yeah, I use the analytics for my own business page on Facebook all the time. It's very valuable information. On LinkedIn, you have insights on your company pages, and that's also pretty informative. Another thing that they've developed that I think they're getting really good at, on your homepage on LinkedIn, on the right-hand side, a few inches down, are your stats. You can track your stats. You can track the number of views you're having on your profile by the week, by the month, over a 90-day spread, and I do that for my clients. You can track how your connections are running, and of course that's dependent on how active you are on inviting people as well. You can also track views to your profile, and if you click the link next to how many people have viewed your profile, you can get into a whole page of analytics that will keep you busy for a half hour. And this is fairly new, like in the last 4 months. They've really gotten into deeper diving into who's being drawn to your profile, what industry they're from, what companies they're from, the titles of the people that are looking at your profile. I love what they're doing. They're constantly evolving, how they are tracking their stats.
I have one other question, and then Walter can ask your second one if you'd like. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about LinkedIn from a perspective of, should you, who do you accept if you get an invitation? Do you accept people that you have no idea who they are? What's your take on that?
That's a great question, Jamie. I'm sure you all get lots of invitations on a daily basis, and a lot of the times you don't know the people that are inviting you. I'm big on 30 seconds. Take 30 seconds and visit their profile. You're looking for value. You don't want to just connect with people to build up your number of connections. That's not going to help you out later when you get into using LinkedIn for marketing, where you can actually leverage your connections in a good professional way. You need to know who you're connecting to. They're adamant about trying to connect with people you know, like, and trust. Well, we've all connected with people that we've never met, and that's fine as long as there's value. Either they're in an industry that means something to you, or they might have shared connections with you with other professionals that you trust. That's a great reason to connect, especially if you don't know them. If you have a lot of shared connections, that's usually a good sign. They travel in the same circles. They might belong to some of the same groups that you belong to. They might just be a hot target that you'd really like to get in front of. So you want to have value. Either you can offer it to them or vice versa. The best connection is when it works both ways. But take 30 seconds and look at their profile before you click the ignore button, because you might be ignoring somebody that could be really valuable to you later. Something else. Oh, after you click ignore, and by the way, when you do that, they're not notified. LinkedIn does give you another step if you choose to take it further, and you can click the I don't know them button. That's the dreaded IDK. If a person gets 5 of those on their profile, they become restricted, and that means that you have to start plugging in the person's email every time you invite somebody to connect. It's LinkedIn's way of slapping your hand and saying, quit inviting people that you don't know because they're telling us they don't know you. You do want to report spam if you ever come across it, and in 3.5 years, I think I've clicked the spam button maybe twice. People that just are relentless to come back and connect with me, and I have nothing in common with them. So you do want to keep a professional mindset. You're building business relationships.
What's your 2 cents on endorsements and recommendations?
Do I have an hour? Okay, endorsements. That's on your skills section of your profile. The people you're connected to can come to your profile, scroll down to your skill list, and click that little plus sign. Hopefully you're all doing that with honesty and validation. It drives me a little crazy when people visit my profile and they're overseas clients and they're endorsing me for LinkedIn training or public speaking, and they've met me or heard me. It happens. It's a poor strategy to try and endorse people just getting in the face in that grid. Don't do that. Do it with honesty and validity, and reciprocate only when you can do so honestly. I have workshops, and I have a lot of people in the workshops afterwards that endorse me for LinkedIn coaching. And I tell them in the class, don't be offended if I don't turn around and endorse you back because I don't know you. You've been in front of me for 2 hours, and you're a great person, but I don't feel comfortable endorsing you. Recommendations, on the other hand, are far more important. They hold a lot more weight. They have to be written by people that know you. They have to tell LinkedIn at what point in your work career did they know you. Their colleagues, their service providers, their people that used to work with you, they know you. And if you're in a position where you're in a search result, somebody's looking for your expertise, they're looking to hire, they've got you against 5 other profiles that all do the same thing, recommendations can turn that viewer into a client. And if you don't have any, and you've got over 500 connections, that's almost a red flag. If you have over 500 connections on LinkedIn, you should have at least 10 to 15 recommendations on your profile.
Say something about recommendation. Well, first of all, by the way, with lawyers, we can't show our recommendations. So, even though I have 500 connections, I don't have any recommendations. But aside from that, my only concern with your employees giving out recommendations to other employees is to just be a little careful. Your employees may not know the situation, all the situations regarding other coworkers. It's just like giving recommendations on the phone when a future employer calls up. Most of my clients have gone to name, rank, and serial number, and they've done that because they don't want employees giving out recommendations, or they don't necessarily know if someone's not with your company any longer, why they're not with your company any longer. So I would discourage employees from giving recommendations for employees.
Yeah, as far as compliance goes, financial advisors, bankers, insurance agents, a lot of those fields have very heavily restricted and regulated compliance, so you do have to stay within your compliance. Showing recommendations or skill endorsements.
Listen to real estate, you're presenting yourself as an individual. Is there a critical mass in terms of getting your own personal profile? The flip side of that is they're kind of over the top kind of players. Getting too much exposure and starts to get in the very. For example, LinkedIn, as an example, I have a LinkedIn profile. I go back and forth because I want to be very selective about who's in my profile and who's in my groups. But that selectivity also reach, both to me and to other users. And so there's this kind of dynamic that I go back and forth on, right? That's a good word. It's a dance, if you will. And I don't, I'm not a professional. You are. So some guidance on where's that line that we draw moving it.
Okay, I don't know if everybody heard that, but that was a good observation concerning LinkedIn professional profile and the activity that you create within groups versus status updates, that sort of thing. Be aware of your privacy controls. There's only 7 of them. They're very easy to understand. A lot of people don't even know where they are. So I'll just give you the 2 steps to get to your privacy controls. Upper right corner of your home page where your little tiny picture is, hover on that and drag your cursor down to the last option. Down to the privacy and privacy and settings review. Click on it, and the privacy controls are right in the middle of the next page. And just go through them, and it takes me less than 10 minutes to go through them with a client. You can control a number of things. If you want to join a bunch of groups on LinkedIn and you'd rather not show the world what groups you're joining, you can hide the group names. Same thing with companies. If you're following companies, just a tip to my clients that are employed and looking for other jobs. If they don't want people knowing what companies they're following, you can hide those logos. They don't have to be displayed on your profile. You can control your activity 4 different ways. You can keep it to yourself, and nobody will see what you're doing. The next choice would be to share it with your connections, which means only your connections will see your activity. That's status updates, who you're connecting with, what you're commenting on. Doesn't go any further than your connections. Even if they click like, It's not going to go out to their second level people. It stops there. So you can keep it just to your connections or just to yourself. When you click everyone, that means somebody can click like on your comment, and it goes out, it's shown to their connections updates, and it can go, actually, I like that because I want my name and everything out there, but it's, again, you can use it in reverse to control how much people see. So, I hope that helps you.
Any other questions before we wrap it up? Anybody?
Yes, I have a question. This is for since I am a city motorcycle, so I get discount for
All right, I just wanted to.
Just for those of you that are management and employers out there, a couple of hot buttons in the social media arena right now from a legal perspective is BYOD, bring your own device, where you're having your employees use their own devices. You've got to be concerned about what's being uploaded onto those devices and then what happens in other circumstances. One being litigation, where outside litigation is looking for all your electronic data. Another is what happens when the employee leaves. How do you clean the data off of their device, whether it's a smartphone, whether it's their own laptop, so you've got to be concerned about that. Another hot button is non-solicitation agreement, and how does that interface with LinkedIn and people putting up new announcements that they've done through other companies. So I'd say those two are probably the hottest ones right now, although there are some other issues that are coming to the forefront. And can I just mention, those of you that are employers, if you have an interest or your management, I do have a couple of our little book of employment law here, feel free to take them. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Yay! All right, the last thing that I have with the microphone in my hand is I would like to acknowledge a consultant of ours. Arsenio Gonzalez has been a consultant on our payroll for 8 years. And this month, I'm sorry, 8 years. So we have a plaque and we want to call her a little gift. He started out working for us at Miami-Dade Water and Sewer, and then he went to MDPD, and then back to Water and Sewer. Thank you. We appreciate your loyalty, your dedication. A little gifty face. You're more than welcome. Thank you.
The first thing I think to work for a consultant, they're very happy to work.
All right, let's see.
I saw that we want to go to the beach club. How do we get to the beach club?
Frank's got to hire you first.
Get a good job inside. Take us with you.
Yeah, here, these guys did this. My God, Margie was the architect in the back. There's Margie. She was the architect. There's Tony, the GC, back there. And then we have our workspace people down there. They did our dirt walls, our mill work, and all of our cubicles. We're doing some PR.
If anyone has an interest, I am doing workshops in Broward pretty much for the first time this month. I have a workshop next Wednesday at the Northwest Regional Library in Coral Springs. You don't have to bring anything because it's in their computer lab. And I have flyers up here if anybody wants information on how to get in on that. It's 2 hours, it's hands-on. You will leave with a totally optimized profile. You'll come up better in the search results, and you will be viewed more often with an optimized profile. Okay.
Thank you all for coming.
Hey,